I'm Morgan. I'm a Conservation Programs Manager with Disney Conservation.
And I'm Juliana, and I'm a Conservation and Science Technician with Disney Conservation.
Yeah, and we're here at Butterfly Landing. We just did some science with some of our monarch butterflies. They got radio telemetry tags, they got sticker tags, they got a full health workup.
They got everything, yeah.
And it was all right in front of guests, which is really, really exciting. And I think, I don't know about you, but it's the thing that I'm most excited about, that we get to do science in front of people.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember coming inside this Butterfly Landing house as a guest prior to coming to the company. So really exciting, kind of full circle moment to be here with you, Morgan.
Yeah, not only, do we get to bring this cool experience, this science in front of people that, often they might not get to see because it happens in a lab or it happens behind the scenes. But, we get to do real science and we get to help out the monarch butterfly in the process. They're a butterfly that really needs our help, like most pollinators and insects in general. And so, the fact that we have the opportunity here at Disney to do this work, I think is really cool.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see all of the guest excitement. They're probably as into monarchs and they get really into it, which I think is the best part and the most rewarding part of what we do. So, explaining what we do here at Walt Disney World and Disney Conservation and seeing how they want to get involved in their own time when they go back home from their trip is really rewarding and just is great.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy for people to get involved,
yeah.
Right? That's the best part about working with pollinators and working with insects. I don't know about you, Jules. I don't have tigers or elephants or other big things in my backyard.
I definitely don't.
Okay.
I don't have an elephant, personally, but I have seen monarchs.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's always insects in your backyard.
Yeah.
There's always some way that you can help the tiny, but mighty creatures that make our world run around. And, what are some things that we can do to help?
Some things that you can do is plant some native plants in your area. So you can go to your local nursery, or you can even just look up online, what great plants are really helpful to your local pollinators. Another way is just learning about it. Spread the word, tell your friends and family what you're learning about and what they can do to help pollinators. It really goes a long way.
Yeah, the first step to, caring about something and doing something about it is learning about it, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love that.
Since it's raining, he might stay there for a while.
He might, yep. Or he might, I would suspect, crawl to the underside where he's out of the way of some bigger. All right. Warm and dry. So if you look around the butterfly house, there's not a ton flying around, and that's just because they don't need to be flying around right now. So once we release our friend, I am assuming that he will go try to find a nice place to hunker down. Might fly away right away, might hang out for a minute. Let's see. There you go. Bye.
So that's milkweed.
This is milkweed, yes.
You okay with that?
My name is Morgan Bell, Conservation Programs Manager.
Common spelling on Bell?
Yeah, B-E-L-L-E. Extra E on the end like the princess. It's the only place I can say that. But it makes sense. Alright. Are you guys ready if we just get started?
Yeah.
Okay, any specifics of how you want things done, what you want us to do, or just go for it?
Walk me through it.
Okay, great.
I think maybe once you put the tag on, if you could just kind of alternate each all get a close up of the tag.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll tag the first butterfly and put them in here, and then we can pass this around, and then we'll pause before we do the second butterfly if you want anything different. All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, first butterfly, 0.48. This is our male. All right, so the first thing that we do is pop our butterflies in the cooler, in some cases very briefly. Butterflies, like all insects, are ectotherms, so if it's really cold, they kind of go into kind of like a brief state of hibernation, a sleep, where they just cool down a little bit, and that's the safest way for us to work with the butterflies. They're not going to move as much, so pop them into the cooler briefly. This butterfly was only in there a few minutes, and now we're going to start working with them. It is a male. The first thing that we always do is weigh the butterflies, and that's just to make sure that they are heavy enough to carry the tag. We won't tag any butterflies where the tag is more than 10% of the weight, so this butterfly is well above that. He weighs almost half a gram, which is pretty average for a monarch butterfly. right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is look at wing condition and wing damage, and that again is to just make sure that our butterfly is healthy as possible to carry the tag. Wing condition is really just looking at, are there, any missing scales, anything like that. That also is a sign of age. Butterflies lose their scales naturally over time, so that's not a bad thing necessarily to see. We want to make sure that our butterfly is a strong flyer. And then wing damage, if there's any sort of nicks or tears, again, that would indicate that our butterfly is not as strong of a flyer. But this butterfly looks super healthy. I'm not seeing any damage to the wings. Nope, so I would give him a 1, which is the bottom of the scale. And then I would also give a 1 for condition as well. I'm not seeing any large patches of missing scales. All right. Is there a smaller one or no? Yes, this guy's one. Thank you. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is measure the forewing length of our butterflies. And this is an interesting measurement because it doesn't change over time, unlike us as we grow taller as we age. Our butterflies don't. So this gives us a good indication of the nutrition potentially that they got when they were a caterpillar. So I'm just measuring from the body to the tip of the forewing, which is the longest wing, and we have 4.3 or 43 millimeters. We're doing quick conversions. All right, so the next thing that we're doing is using this small sticker right here. It's just a clear sticker, and I'm gonna touch it to the abdomen of our monarch, and it's gonna take some scales with it, but it's also gonna take any spores, potentially from a parasite called OE. And then what we can do is just pop this under a microscope and really easily tell if this butterfly potentially has that parasite. It's a really common parasite here in Florida and with monarchs in general, but we wanna see how healthy our population is here. Go. Thank you. So it's a bit of a misnomer that you can't touch butterflies, that will injure them. They naturally lose their scales over time, and those scales serve a purpose, right? It aids in camouflage, but it's okay if some of them come off and we touch them. Obviously, we don't want to encourage people to touch butterflies because they are very fragile, but in a case like this, it's totally okay.
You just grab him from inside the...
Yep, yeah, so this butterfly came from inside Butterfly Landing. He'll participate in some research and then we'll send them right back inside to Butterfly Landing. So the next thing that our little friend is getting is this sticker tag right here. It has a unique identification number on it, and this is special to this butterfly. This is how we learned about the monarch migration way back in the 60s. Someone would tag a butterfly in one place, they would hopefully find it somewhere else, and then we would know, okay, butterfly started at point A, it ended at point B. Now with our new technology, we're able to fill in a lot of those gaps in the middle, but this is still a really helpful way for us to know where our butterfly is going and who our butterfly is. So this goes right there on what's called the discal cell, and it goes in the same exact spot every time on every monarch so that anyone who's looking for these tags knows exactly where to look.
Can you show us? Is it possible to move it a little bit?
Yeah. All right, so our little butterfly is almost done.
If you didn't live in there, what would the range of that butterfly be?
So butterflies, monarchs specifically, have kind of two different types of, the monarchs can be kind of two different types of flyers. So you either have generations 1 out of 3 that are gonna help migrate into the US, and they'll fly potentially a couple 100 miles, if not further, and live between 2 and 4 weeks. And then you've got one special generation of the monarch butterfly that can live up to 9 months and fly potentially up to 3,000 miles. And they're that generation that's gonna make it all the way from the top of the country back into their overwintering grounds in Mexico. So this butterfly, my guess would live anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks and could potentially fly a couple 100 miles. We did find a butterfly recently, a wild monarch here at Walt Disney World, that actually traveled from here at EPCOT all the way over to Disney's Animal Kingdom, which is about 2 miles if they're flying straight. They probably stopped at some gardens along the way, so they probably went even further.
Reagan, can I get a still of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Shaking hands.
You're good. You're good. It's also a living thing moving in your hands. So I get
Right?
it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ready? Yeah. That's, you want to talk about this first?
I would put the glue on first because it's going to be take a while. So one of the interesting parts about this research, one of the things that I find most interesting is that we actually use eyelash glue to attach the tags with our butterflies. The jewels that Juliana and I make, the joke that we make all the time is that we use eyelash glue more on butterflies than ourselves, which I know to be very, very true. Here, my friend. So she's putting that glue right on the back of the tag, and we'll show you that tag here in a second. It's about the size of a grain of rice, so incredibly tiny. Radio telemetry tracking has been used for decades at this point with other animals, but the technology has only become small enough now to be able to use on insects. Really, really tiny tag. It's got a solar panel there on the back, and then an antenna that Julie's holding onto right there. And it goes right on the backs of our monarch body. So she'll weigh the tag again with the glue, just so that we know it's still within that weight ratio. And it's going to be something that our insects can carry. So here we're just using some small weighted wings to weigh down our butterflies so that they're immobilized briefly and in the safest position possible while we put this tag on. This is the challenging part, getting the tag in the exact right spot.
You got them more in.
There we go. Now we'll adjust it, do any little adjusting that we need.
Do you get nervous doing this?
You know, I don't necessarily get nervous, but it definitely is a very detail-oriented process. So I always have to remind myself to not like scowl and look very intensely when I'm like focused on doing this one little thing. So now we'll sit here for about 90 seconds, potentially 2 minutes to let this tag dry. We do know that when we're tagging our butterflies in really high humidity, which it's pouring rain right now, that the glue tends to take a little bit longer. So we'll give our butterfly a little extra time today to dry. And while our butterfly's sitting here, we're just looking to making sure the butterfly is not showing any signs of stress. It's kind of hard to see in an insect, but you know, we're looking for those antennae to make sure that they're still upright, still moving around. Our butterfly still looks, you know, interested and aware of the process. Our butterfly still looks great, ready to go.
So it's a misconception that butterflies are maybe they're not as fragile as maybe we thought.
Yeah, I think insects in general, I think it's a big misnomer that, you know, they're not strong. Insects are some of the, you know, workhorses of the environment. You know, most of the food that we eat is in thanks to a pollinator. About 2 bites out of every, 2 out of every 3 bites of food is in thanks to a pollinator. They can fly, you know, really far. One of my favorite fun facts to share is that if you were to stack 50 Walt Disney World castles, Cinderella castles on top of each other, a monarch butterfly can fly straight over those. So they're really high flyers, really strong flyers. There's a lot of really cool research that looks at how much weight insects can carry, and there's some fun studies that have actually showed bumblebees carrying around weighted pearls that shows that they're a lot stronger than we initially thought. So yeah, they're tiny, but they're mighty. They're looking pretty good. Just give it another second or two, but it's looking good, ready to go. That. Thank you.
So how does that transmitter work?
So it's radio telemetry, and it works off of the same frequency as our phone, so Bluetooth. So we have stations set up across Walt Disney World, which are essentially listening for this specific, name of this tag. So anytime this butterfly flies within that distance, the station picks it up and goes, oh, tag, 768 just flew by, and we know that it's associated with this butterfly. We can also go out with a little handheld device and look around individually, so if we know a butterfly might be in an area, we can come by and actually look more closely.
So this is just for here on property.
Yeah, so this Surprise and Delight, where guests can actually come out and see this process, is just here at EPCOT, and then we're tagging in a few other locations as well. But yep, right here, just at Walt Disney World is the work that we're doing, but there's some other amazing researchers all across the country who are working with these similar tags.
On a bigger scale? Can this be scaled up?
Yeah, absolutely. So the system that this kind of connects into looks at the whole country. And so whether it's a monarch butterfly or a purple martin like we have here at Walt Disney World as well, or other animals, if they're wearing a radio telemetry tag, they can be seen potentially by all of these stations as well. So yeah, you could track an animal on a really large scale.
So if this guy got out of the park area and made it over to the coast, there could be someone that read it over there?
Potentially. So our system is kind of enclosed into itself right now. We don't play with the broader system, but essentially someone else who tags a monarch anywhere or tags another animal anywhere, yeah, can get that data from any of those stations everywhere. Moving your tag. See how it stays. My friends. Thank you. There you go. Still on. All right. If you guys want to take a look at our friend, you're more than welcome. Oh, sorry. Is this the... Oh, where's the clear side? Oh, yeah. It's right there. There you go. Turn around. Show them your tag. Show them your pretty tag. Thank you. Can I steal that little... Oh, I just steal it. Here you go. Do you have a time, Morgan? 7:56.
I'm Dr. Zach. I'm the Conservation Director with Disney Conservation, and I lead a team of biologists that looks to see how we can have a positive impact on nature wherever Disney has an impact, which is all over the world. So as a scientist, it's an amazing opportunity to really look at how can we be innovative and do great science. And then I think one of the best parts of being a scientist at Disney is that we get to show science being done by scientists, by people, and really be an inspiration for the kids and families that are our guests, and see how science is done, and that it's achievable, and that there's a place for all of us in science, and that you can grow up to be a scientist helping to protect wildlife and wild places, which is what we all want to do.